Welcome into Keep It Real, Ana and Avarie alongside with you for another edition. We haven't been gone too long.
No, just like Thanksgiving break.
Just a little Thanksgiving break. We had a lot going on as well, of course. That's why you listen to this pod. We'll catch you up and catch each other up. Starting with your weekend, Avarie, tell us about where you were.
Yeah, well, let's see. Was it Thursday, Friday? No, Friday, Saturday. We had Husker Volleyball. And so that was clean weekend for them.
Yeah.
They took care of business.
25-3 one of the sets. So that's
handedly.
Insane.
Yeah, it was. So there was that. I got to be at those games last year, which was fun. So to be back in that environment, I hadn't been to a game this year.
Yeah, I know you haven't really been able to.
Yeah, I have football, and then you're usually there. So it was nice to just kind of catch a few games, and hopefully I'll get one on Sunday. This weekend will be massive, which will be super exciting. Dayton on Friday, and then winner of A&M in Wisconsin on Sunday, which
both
is
great
crazy
stories and opponents.
I mean, to think that Nebraska's going to have to play one of those two. Do you think Trev shows up this weekend? I saw someone tweet
I
about
was
it.
wondering that too. I would think.
Yeah, someone was like, this might be the moment.
He's going to have to return fully.
He
was in Omaha, but he hasn't been in Lincoln. So.
Yeah, so I'm curious. But yeah, either way, that'll be crazy.
Yeah.
So that should be a big one. You had Creighton Volleyball last weekend.
Yeah, Creighton Volleyball. I was on the ESPN Plus broadcast, which I hope one day all of those broadcasts aren't streamed, but they can be on TV like March Madness for men's and women's basketball. So I think we're slowly getting there from the TV POV, and I love that you can fill out a bracket now this year for NCAA volleyball tournament. That's awesome. Broadcasts were great. We had Ole Miss, South Dakota, Florida State, and then obviously Creighton, who is the host. All great teams, and like really cool to get to know that Ole Miss team because they like took Texas to 5 sets to end that regular season, and then upset FSU in the first round, and then Creighton swept Ole Miss, but the first 2 sets were, just a couple points away. It could have really gone either way for that team. But Ole Miss was a cool story to hear from. And like their coach actually was under Cook at one point at Nebraska as a grad assistant.
Who hasn't?
Yeah, who hasn't? Literally, his coaching tree is crazy.
Going. Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cool to get to know everyone. Bree Henry was her name. And yeah, it was it's always fun. Like that's one of the best parts I think about the job is like getting to know everyone and everyone's stories. I only get so much airtime, only get so many stories I can talk about and cool things I can bring up. But it's always fun just like having that knowledge and like getting to know people. And like I think they really appreciate when you sit down and chat with them in person and like ask them how they fell in love with the sport. And I'm sure it like helps them reflect. It's like a little therapy session almost.
Well, they don't always get the room to do that. Like it's always game planning and film and like the logistics.
They probably are like, well, I do need to think about that.
Yeah, I know for sure. Having like a real person conversation. And there were a lot of like Nebraska natives.
So many.
I mean, especially that
South Dakota team.
Yeah. Yeah. South Dakota too. Yeah. And like with having South Dakota State in town, like in Lincoln, there were so many local products.
Yeah. Ole Miss brought a lot of fans too. But yeah, to your point about local product, there's 7 on South Dakota's team.
Well, Ole Miss had the one.
Ole Miss had one.
So.
Shayla Meyer, I believe was her name.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, the FSU SID was from Nebraska. And I was like, oh, welcome Nebraska. He's like, I actually lived here for like 10 years. And I was like, oh, never mind.
Oh, never mind.
But yeah, we were talking about just like being from Nebraska and stuff. He's like, I'm happy to be back and
that's so cool.
Get to see family and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. So it was a homecoming for some people. But yeah, it was a really fun, weekend and like makes me grateful, like holding a microphone, whether it's not on the like major ESPN or 2 channels, but still holding,
has the same flag.
Still the same flag, still the same company. So like just never take for granted like getting to live out that dream. And yeah,
I know. I was sitting and watching like all the volleyball games, and we kept going back to that one. Obviously, the one you were on because there was so many happening, and I was like trying to see where you were sitting and all these things. And I was like, oh, I spy a green jacket.
I did bring the green jacket back.
See Ana. Yep. Yeah, so that was funny. But I spotted you.
Yeah. I almost went all pink for the second round, but then I went all black. I did leather pants, black blazer, brought the leather back. The famous leather that I got so much crap for at the Kansas Creighton game, but they won. So like
Ana wore these leather pants. They were really cute. She wore the same boots that she wore when Creighton upset UConn. Yep. And which I didn't realize this because we both had like long pea coats on basically, but you also had like a leather jacket on underneath.
I went full leather mode.
Yeah, leather on leather. And so
I didn't think I'd cause such a scene.
No. So like when we sat down in the media room, I had run to the restroom real fast and like go look at the court and just see how much time we had left. And by the time I'd come back, Anna had taken her jacket off and had this leather on leather outfit. And I walked into this like full conversation of 3 to 4 people surrounding me.
No, like I was being surrounded by people like telling me I was going to Sturgis and like telling me I'm from Greece, all in good fun, mind you. But I was just like, okay, like I didn't mean to cause such a ruckus. I'm like, sorry, you don't wear leather when you go on assignment. Like I can't help you.
It was just so funny. I walked into it. I was like, oh.
No, it was hilarious.
The whole situation,
Glenn from Creighton still gives me crap for
He's like,
it.
Did you ride your motorcycle here?
Yeah, I know. They're like, where are your boots? Like your cowboy boots. Or I was like, guys. And it's funny because I texted in one of my friend group chats before and I'm like, is leather on leather like too much? And they're like, absolutely not. They're like, that's so normal.
You got the green light.
I got the green light from the girls. The boys just don't understand, guys.
I was actually after the court storming, I was coming down from Media Row and Glenn was getting on the elevator with me and he was like, we can't let Anna not live this moment down. Like we're going to hold this over there. And I was like, we got to keep her humble. But we were just joking.
Yeah. The court storming, I was stormed in full leather. I was getting attacked. I personally was stormed.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to run. Like I didn't want to mosh pit in the middle of the crowd with the players. Like I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to capture everybody, but nobody would get the memo to like run around me. And I don't blame anybody. Like
I know.
I at one point just had my elbows out and I was just holding my phone and I'm like, if you hit me, you're hitting an elbow. So at least like I have some protection.
Yeah. The photos were coming in because we have live photos that are coming in. And so as Anna's getting down there with the video, I'm like literally updating photos. And the first 3 that I get, Anna's just getting absolutely
I'm just getting like destroyed by people.
She's got her phone up and she's like literally just like being body slammed. I was like, this is what you have to do. And then of course, no other pictures came in for like 10 other minutes. So I literally just had
photos of me getting bodied.
Honestly, this might do well. I don't know.
I posted them because I was like, these are pretty funny.
They were funny.
Yeah, shout out Brandon for those photos.
Those were good.
He saw the moment and he's like,
yeah,
I was getting absolutely bodied.
We've been a part of multiple storms now.
Yeah, you've had Nebraska, Iowa, women's basketball.
And I think David was, I don't know if he was like working or there on the court when Nebraska.
Purdue.
Yeah.
And they beat Wisconsin, stormed the court too.
Crazy.
Football, we've had.
We've had, we had 2 this year, but I wasn't on the field when they like the last minute for Colorado. Like I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I probably could have assumed considering Colorado stormed their field last year after beating Nebraska, which was interesting.
But I mean, if you do it, Nebraska's got to do it.
Sure. But like Nebraska or Colorado like stormed the field like every game last year. I don't really know. So I guess it was.
Hey, when you win like one game in a year and then
totally, I mean,
win 5 or whatever.
Power to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But then this year for Wisconsin, that one was like so cool. I don't even think we've talked about it, but it was like, I'm usually not on the field at the end of the game. I usually, I mean, it's just not a dramatic ending, whether they're winning or losing. I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of 1-score finishes, but my job is usually to the press conference room. And so like, I'll walk by the field, see what the situation is, whatever. And I got down there with like, I think like 5 to 6 minutes left. And I'm so glad I did because to feel the energy of the stadium was just so, it was like, you could feel the stadium take a deep breath. Like you could feel it, like the happiness.
Everyone's just relieved.
Was just radiating. And like there was this, I wish I'll find it and see if we can put it in here. And I wish I would taken a longer video. I just like was watching this really cute.
You're soaking in a moment.
I was. The security woman that works one of the stairs. Like I'm assuming she's worked games for X amount of years. And when it was very obvious that Nebraska was going to win this game, obviously the score reflected that for a while.
Yeah. I still didn't believe it truly though, until the end.
At the end, when they like got that other first down and whatnot, whatever, she like had her hand over her heart and she just was like looking around and like smiling.
Aww.
And she was just like so happy. And then they played that little timeout thing like Nebraska does, and it's like always usually undefeated, such a great video. And they put that bowling clip in there and like everyone went crazy and it had all the funny music and she started dancing and like everyone was like chanting "Go Big Red" together. And like whether you're a fan or not, like it just like to be in that kind of atmosphere was so cool. And you could just feel like this pressure like just taken off of the stadium no matter what happened at Iowa, like whatever it was. It just was like people were, I mean, Nebraska fans don't necessarily leave games like we see other fan bases do, but like there was not like people were there and
they
like,
just wanted to see
they
the
were
ending.
chanting together and like they played Can You Feel It like as the players were on the field and like people were clapping along. It just was like a really cool moment just to be on the like I don't know, we've never really been a part of like football field storming where like it truly meant something,
especially in the past years.
So to be in that moment and like we did a lot of the yearbook stuff with a few of the seniors that have become like, you know, the faces of I seriously have cotton, I think, in my throat still. We played
this game downstairs.
Sorry, I'm like
where you had to like have a straw and move a cotton ball by like sucking it up and putting it into a bin. And
playing reindeer games.
I fear that
I might have
cotton in my lungs, perhaps.
Sorry, not to get off track, but I felt like I was gonna like have an issue there. It was cool to follow like trying to find Ty Robinson on the field and like trying to find Isaac Gifford, because watching them experience that moment and
just feel happy for them.
Yeah, like it's been 5-6 years of just like tough. They haven't gone anywhere. They haven't wavered. So I was literally trying to find them and follow them everywhere and like watching the fans and the students like pat their helmets or like just say things to them, whatever, was really cool. Obviously the young guys, it was cool to see them obviously enjoy that with like their families and, you know, older guys. But I was literally like, okay, where's this guy? guy? And I missed it. David said MJ Sherman was like throwing people over his shoulders and like lifting. He's like the best.
Love MJ Sherman.
I know. And you did a cool story on him, but
he's so cool.
Yeah. So that was cool. That was a long-winded story on our stormings, but I kind of forgot we haven't really discussed that one. So
seriously, no fan base deserves it more than Nebraska. Like, which how loyal those fans have been over the years and everything that they've gone through. Like, nobody deserved that moment more.
Yeah, so it was cool.
I want to spend the rest of our time together talking about some unhingedness on the X app and just things that we've seen that are a little disheartening. We want to shed some light, maybe spin some positives off of it, and just maybe talk through some things that we saw on Twitter. You want to bring that up on your phone?
Yeah. What do you want to start with? I know we've discussed a few things. Do you want to talk about the Chiefs situation first? Or we want to talk about this week first?
I think we should just dive in.
Okay. Well, we'll go with this. Okay, let me find it. I bookmarked it. I guess
she's got receipts.
I just knew that me and Anna would want to discuss this because it's just something that we talk about like amongst ourselves a good amount. And that's good. Lauren Michelson's got a good response. I love that.
Okay, so explain this original tweet.
Okay, so on Saturday, there was college game day, obviously, and it was the SEC championship, Georgia, Texas, and for these kind of games, they give each team a respective reporter. And so on college game day, they shot down to the field, and Holly Rowe and Laura Rutledge and Jess Sims were all in the field giving a quick like update. And some man,
TJ Moe,
he tweeted, and it kind of took off on Twitter, and it says, "Who actually wants to watch these three women stand around and talk about football? I do not." And it kind of took off. Like, I feel like we see things like this more often than not.
And like they get not that much interaction, but how many views did this tweet get?
This one has 25 million views.
Yeah, 25 million views.
Yeah,
Holy
so
crap.
for something about this one, maybe it's because, I mean, I think all women that work in sports, I love following. But I mean, you're going to go after Laura and Holly, I think maybe is probably
literally
why.
two of the most iconic.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought about responding and I was like, I don't know what good it does. I don't really know. But I was like, I do know I want to talk with Anna about this because one, we have this podcast to talk about these kind of things. But I was driving home from Kansas City and I kept seeing more people responding to this. And
negatively.
Negatively.
Mostly negatively, but there have been people that have
supported them. And I think the disheartening part was watching this moment live. Like, I got a Saturday morning to enjoy college game day, which I don't often get to do. And I remember seeing that image and I was like, that is badass. Like,
that was my first thought as well.
Love that. Like, how freaking cool is
like,
that?
Oh, three great icons of
and it was
sports reporting, all women. Like, oh, that's awesome to see them three on the field together in one shot.
Yeah. And the whole, like, I love the crew that's college game day. I love listening to them. But for them to shoot it down to them and they're on the field and they are giving their update, I was like, that is a sick image on TV right now. Like, what a cool moment. And then you open up Twitter and it's like this harsh reminder and reality of the literal situation that most women have to go through in this industry. And I'm not saying we're not used to it. And I'm not saying we don't not expect it to be different, if I'm being so transparent. But I think the part that's so frustrating, it's like, it's just such an old and insecure take. Like, it's just, if you're bothered by it, like, come up with something else outside of they didn't play the sport. Because in that moment, they are not giving you X's and O's and they're not giving you scheme and they're not telling you play calling. They are quite literally giving you information that you would not know any other way, because these women are talking to players and coaches all week long. And they are in production meetings all week long preparing for this game. And so I think that's the part that's just so frustrating. It's like they're showing you a well, I think Laura had the ankle brace that was going to be on Quinn Ewers. And they were like, this is top notch. We've not seen this before. This is how it works. This is how, whatever.
Yeah.
That might have been in the game. But either way, they were discussing that. There were some players that were question marks. That this was the first time that they were saying, hey, by the way, they're playing in this game. Like no one else has that information except for them when they're, hey, you're going to have this live shot. And by the way, you have the green light to say you are explaining to the audience that they are now in this game or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Also, if you listen to what they are saying, they are not saying, I think this, I think that. They are saying, Coach Sarkisian said this.
Yeah, they're reporting.
Or
if you don't know what that word means.
This. And so it's like they are taking information and giving it right to you. They are not telling you how to play football.
Right.
And even if they did, they are in the rooms of some of the brightest football minds every single
you've never been in.
Day that you've never been in. And they also have been in this industry for so long that I promise you that they have the right to, if they wanted to, tell you a few things about what they know. Laura is on an NFL live TV show every single day that wins awards every single year. Like, I promise you, she's probably gained some knowledge here and there. Like, call me crazy.
More than you sitting on your couch tweeting. Yeah,
and it's just so frustrating to see that taken. Like, the part I didn't even want to really respond to it is because I'm like, okay, what tractions I get when I respond doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you just didn't want to put more energy
to it. But like, here I am being upset about it because the more we are now. But the more you talk about it, the more it's just like, it's just so old, and I know it's not going anywhere. But like, someone quote tweeted and was like, it's so disheartening to think you've taken steps forward and then realize how much further we have to go. But I do love that, like, Laura had reshared something about it on her Instagram story because someone quote tweeted it and then put it on their Instagram story, and then she shared that or something. I don't know. It was a positive spin to it or whatever. But it's just I find it just very, very frustrating because it's such an insecure take. Because like we said earlier, like if Reese Davis was on the field or Adam Schefter or whatever,
who's never played high level football in his life.
They would be giving you the same information because they are in the same production meetings. These women and these men are in the same meetings, the same conversations. And honestly, these women are in more of these conversations than men anyway that are on their team because most of the men are probably in the booth anyway. So like Laura and Holly are having these last minute conversations inside that stadium before they have
everything too.
Yes, before they have this live shot. Like they're not just, it's just the lack of knowledge and just like, it's frustrating. It is what it is. I know we are in for it when you get in this, and it really, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I think too, like someone quote tweeted and was like, if you don't want to watch two of the best at their craft, then change the channel. Like, fine, go watch something else where you're not going to get this much information.
Right.
But like, don't we want to be more, I personally, why wouldn't we want to be more informed? Because you giving a take with less information, like what's the point? Like, I feel like, I guess my job is if I can give you more information, at least I can hopefully shape the take that you're going to go spew at someone.
Sure. Yeah. That you're going to say at the local sports bar.
Right. Like,
sure.
Like I like to
learn.
Like I like to give a rundown of these press conferences that we listen to, because I think the more knowledge that I'm able to share, or at least give you some proof of evidence, hopefully it gives you a second to consider or think or perspective that you wouldn't have had before you make an uneducated. Your opinion is totally, you are right. You are
entitled to your opinion.
Have that. But the more you know, sometimes it's harder to be, one, hateful.
Yeah.
And two, it gives you perspective. So
great point.
I personally, because it's really, I mean, I don't know, this goes into a whole other thing, but this kind of conversation just like really, I think it irked a lot of people because it was like, you're gonna go after Holly and Laura. Like, not that it's acceptable for really anyone, quite frankly, but like two of literally the best at what they do. And by the way, two incredible human beings. Like incredible. Like I've chatted with Holly on the sidelines when she was here to cover Iowa and Nebraska.
Laura's taken time out of her life to talk to students that she had no idea who they were.
No, responded to our video when we were in college. We had like 30 followers, and she responded and was like, I would love to do I think that's the part that bothers me the most. Like you don't even have, it's like, and who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you to say that? What do you do? Okay, you played college football X amount of years ago. Great. They're not trying to tell you how to play. Yeah. They're not trying to tell you how to play it. Like, it's just, it's such an old take. And I'm like, really, it is what it is. Like, we know and if this clip bothers you, great. You can say whatever you want. We don't claim. Yeah. I don't claim what you say about us. It doesn't define us.
We also haven't played high level college football either. So,
and I'm not trying to tell you that. I'm literally regurgitating and telling you and giving you a spin of my observation from what I heard, what I see all the time. Like, so anyway, we were kind of having that conversation, and I know I just got a little bit heated about it, but it's just such, like, if that's your argument, like, come up with something new, please. Like,
yeah, it is getting kind of old at this point, and it's also just like, you don't take criticism from people that you wouldn't take advice from. So, you know, when you see those things, and like, that's honestly a reason why I didn't feel like I wanted to reply, and maybe you too, but like, you just don't even need to give energy to it because it doesn't like serve a purpose for you. It doesn't serve a purpose in your life. And it's like, okay, I get to read these things, but all it truly does is just motivate me to show up even more.
Yeah. Like if you think you were going to put an end to anything, like
and I don't know what like his purpose was in that.
No.
Like maybe trying to be relatable to guys and like whatever. Maybe, congratulations, your tweet did pop off, but like that's not going to get anyone fired from ESPN. I mean, it could get you fired from perhaps the job you work. Your insurance company might not like it that you work at. I don't know what he does now, but like HR, sure. But like, that's fine. And like, you have your own opinion, whatever, but like, it's not going to stop any women from doing what they want to do with their lives. And it should truly only motivate you more. But it just sucks because like, I would hate for a young female to see that and be like, oh, he's right. Like, that's what I don't want to see. Yeah. And so like, I hope that all the young women know, like, you can truly do anything. And whether you've played the sport or not, you can learn enough and be educated enough, just like any man is in literally everything. And like, the thing is that these other male counterparts in the industry are always so awesome and like so caring, and like they're not these people. Like they're not these people that do these tweets, and like Dan Orlovsky's of the world, like incredible human beings, so supportive of all the women on NFL Live, and like I'm sure, I mean, I've met him before, a great guy. And so like, those aren't the people talking. Like, the most successful people aren't the ones that are saying this stuff. So like, I hope that's
why it doesn't matter too much either. It's just like, but what's the
I just don't get the point. But I mean, again, it just is more fuel to the fire, and like
100% it is. I did the amount of quote tweets responses from either women reporters or either some like male reporters being like, if you think this is, I mean, you seriously, like, you just refuel the fire. Like, I've gotten to the point, I don't know if you have too, but like, yes, that stuff bothers me when I read it, but I watch it and I'm like, okay, well then watch what's going to happen. Watch this. Like,
see, like, as long as you truly know who you are and your family and your friends do, like, truly nothing should bother you in the outside world. Of course, you're going to see it and read it, and people are going to say random things in our comments, and trust me, we get plenty of them in DMs and weird, uncomfortable things. But like, as long as you know who you are and stay true to what you believe, and like, I think at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And like, these trolls on the internet aren't really gonna tear anybody down. And if it does, and you gotta get a little thicker skin on that, I think, because it comes with the territory. But like we talked about before the show, it's still not right.
Yes, and that does obviously lead into another conversation that's like a much bigger conversation. But like, the fact that we have to say that to, whether it's collegiate athletes, professional athletes, head coaches, assistant coaches, people in the media industry, anyone that is in front of a camera, has a platform, that we basically say, you know, it comes to the territory. Criticism, sure.
Yeah.
But the fact that we've justified that you're susceptible to mean comments, the fact that as a society, we've become so numb to saying whatever we think we can say and hitting send, and having no guilt. And I mean, because if you're doing it to me, you're doing it to one other person. I'm not the only person you're doing it to, I assume. So you've had how long of a history where you've gotten to this point where whatever you think you can say feels normal to you. Like, that's what's, I think, terrifying, is like, that can feel like very
the numbness of it
wrong. And like, Harper Murray put this video out on TikTok. It was a very long video, and she kind of literally gets to every single point about kind of some of the things we're talking about. She covered all her bases, and honestly, huge credit to her for doing that. Like, I know it's been a really hard challenge, and she even said that, you know, I've gotten to the point where I'm comfortable enough to talk about it and understand how to digest these things, and like, by the way, I'm ready to respond to them. And I thought she brought up an interesting point, because she said, I'll speak for Lainey and I, when we respond to your comments, you delete them, which is so relatable, because anytime that someone wants to say something, I know people are like, don't read the comments or don't give into it. I'm like, yeah, but it's also my job too. If it doesn't bother me, I have no problem responding to you and being like,
especially if it's like uneducated.
Let me help you. Let me give you some perspective. Let me give you a little bit more evidence.
Yeah.
And every single time that I address that or bring some more perspective to it, always delete it,
or like
they'll respond
it,
or message me separately. I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Great, didn't know. Then let's add some more perspective, but more knowledge before we
normalize
shoot
not
off
saying something if you don't know.
Like why are we quicker to anger than we are to compassion? Like that part is so frustrating to me. And so obviously I think we've talked about this, but like our biggest growth is knowing, like, I think early we would have been like, ooh, that's a really tough comment. Like, do other people think that? Do other whatever?
Yeah,
it's hard.
Sure.
It's hard to be like,
take a bigger toll.
Maybe that's like a group consensus. And it's like, I think the growth that we've both discussed is we've gotten to a point where it's like, I take criticism from someone I respect, and in this, in 100%, 10 out of 10 times, like I want feedback. I want to be better. But when it's the hateful stuff or it's the uneducated stuff
that has like zero value,
I've gotten to the point where it's like, I do not claim what you say about me. Like that does not define anything that I just said. Like I'm sorry that is your, like, I would never want to clearly live in the place in your head where you feel comfortable sitting there. Like that's a sad place to live. And so I don't want to trade places with you. And I think the same would be said with like Harper Murray's video, for example. You guys are saying all these things, but I guarantee you see her at the grocery store, you see her out in public.
Oh, you'd be like, oh my God,
it's Harper Murray. I'm running up to get her signature. And as you should. But you're behind this. Like if it's like I said, I hate that we are quicker to anger than we are compassion. I know that's what it is. But the fact that we have justified that sentence, well, it comes with the territory. Being mean in life in general does not come with the territory.
No.
Criticism, get it. But like, I just find it very, very interesting.
Say evil things to people
that we have gotten.
It's not part of the territory.
No. And let's remind, like, at this point, like, we're going to say, like, we can take it. It is what it is. Like, it comes with the territory. Like, the kids that you're making comments to, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, they are trying to figure out who they are. Like, there's just so many better things in life than to be doing that. So this is like a whole different conversation in itself when we're only kind of scratching the surface.
And it's not just to women. Like that is to every athlete. It's to everybody. But obviously it's been
so like
shown more to women.
Twitter was just unhinged, and I know it's like crazy. Honestly, it's more of a negative place and it sucks because that's like where we have to live for everything. Like
breaking news.
Yes, like it just
there, so.
Yeah, anything that's like streamlined information, like we have to get it there. I have to share to it. You have to share to it. Like that's where a lot of our job lives. But there's so many days where it's like, I don't want to be on this app for multiple reasons. Then it just, whether it's coming to me, I'm watching it go to other people. Like even this over the weekend, like I hated that the video that we posted of it comes with the territory. Clearly. I did not like that we essentially were a catalyst to negativity for that video of Dylan at the Chiefs game.
Yeah.
Because it was very evident no one was listening to the video. No one was actually watching it. They took whatever was being shown on their screen and had something to say. So I hate that part because like that was a really cool moment since I was there and I realized like we're at a Chiefs game and everyone's yelling "Go Big Red!"
Like that's so cool for him.
Saying his name. He even turned around and looked at the two signees he was with. We were all leaving the field together, like because they kind of funnel you off. So we're waiting at the stairs, and he took a few moments to sign those things. And he even turned around, looked at the Chiefs, and he's like, this is crazy, like a Chiefs game. We're out in Lincoln.
Yeah.
It's like he might have expected it, like some of it, but like not like that, I think.
Yeah, I got spun pretty badly.
And I'm like,
people saying like, oh, he wants to be Mahomes. Is he signing Mahomes'
like
name?
These kids don't even know who. I'm like, if you listen to
they're
the
literally yelling Raiola and Go Huskers.
Yeah. So I think that part bothers me because it's like, that was a really cool moment. We shared this. He gave me the green light to post it. Like I asked if it was okay. I even asked if I could take a picture of them together because I thought that was pretty cool. Like Dylan is hanging out with these two future Huskers, whatever. And they told me it was totally fine, loved it, whatever. I even got to talk to two of the future signees because they're from Kansas City. And I told them they had a great signing day interview. And like, I'm obviously excited to have some more Kansas City kids up there. Right. And then the whole thing just like, I don't know. That's what makes Twitter such a hard place is like, there's very little context usually.
That's the worst part is when something arrives without context. Like we put context there, but when you share it, you get to put whatever you want on it.
And so that was hard. So like, I don't know. Twitter was just from that comment, just
we're gonna delete the app. I think.
From that like bothering me because I just was like, it's so frustrating because the reality of that moment of us seeing those three girls on TV, you said it, I said it. I can imagine how many other girls saw that moment was like, that is sick. Like that's so
the reason why powerful. I do what I do because I saw women on TV.
Yes, and then you see the reality of the underbelly, which sucks.
I'm glad I didn't have Twitter, honestly.
when you were younger?
Yeah, seeing that, because that would have definitely discouraged me.
Totally, because if you're not secure in your job, if you're not secure in who you are, like they're obviously we're always growing. But if I was a freshman, like sophomore, junior in college last year, I've been like, oh,
I've been like, oh, I don't want to be portrayed that way, or like I don't want to be talked about that way. Like,
yes, like, and if you that's very normal for that to bother you and affect you, which is clearly his goal, obviously. So that's the whole point is here's like, you don't let that like one man's opinion does not make it true. Woman's whatever.
Yeah.
But it just like everything this weekend, I was just like, what are we doing? Like, what purpose is this serving for anyone?
Not much. It was interesting. Well, that's our rant.
Rant.
Like literally the message is just be a good person. Just be a decent person.
Yeah. Because like we have these conversations amongst ourselves, and like we said earlier, I'm like, either I need to get verified on Twitter so I have more characters, because there was so many points that I like, this is just dumb.
We had to do a podcast episode to reply. We couldn't even tweet it.
Yeah, no, seriously. We have the space. We're going to talk about it. I had a lot stored up here.
Yeah. But shout out to all the very supportive men in our lives and women, of course, but especially the men, because without them uplifting us as well and like vouching for us, and this goes beyond our years, because I'm sure there were many very influential men that got women on TV that were producers and directors, and the people making those decisions as CEOs or in the C-suite, like they also believed in women. And so we wouldn't be without them as well. And obviously the women trailblazing the way too, but like there are a lot of great supportive men, and like our fathers, for example, like in our lives, like our dads are such big parts of our lives in sports and a reason why we do what we do. So like there's so many great supportive men out there. It just sucks to like see one like blow up and get 25 million views, and you know, like all men aren't like that truly.
No,
and
it's not really a men versus women thing at the end of the day, honestly, because there were so many men, like I said, that responded and were like,
and stood up.
It's just it sucks when that kind of take is put out there in general,
right?
And
it
twisted such a good and powerful moment to something that was like, dang, I hate that. That's still what resonates up here.
Yeah, tough. Well, that'll do it, because I have a dentist appointment, guys. If I'm gonna keep it real with you, go to your local dentist and get checked out, because I don't have any cavities, but it's important to have dental health, I found out.
Yeah, and the Nebraska football schedule just released. So.
All right, we gotta go. We gotta go figure that out. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next time.